The stars watched silently as Earth turned slowly in the black sea of space. To most alien eyes, this blue planet was nothing more than a forgotten world at the edge of the galaxy. But to some, it looked like a prize waiting to be claimed. From the darkness of deep space, ships came. They were not small ships of traders or peaceful explorers. These were warships, built from iron and fire, carrying soldiers who believed that every world they touched became theirs. Their leaders had decided Earth was weak. Their mistake began the day they thought humanity would bow. The invasion started quietly. Strange signals cut through satellites, shutting them down one by one. Cities around the globe woke to skies filled with shadows of massive vessels. They did not come with peace talks or gifts. They came with commands. Through every hacked screen and radio, a single message was spoken in a language translated for human ears. The voice was cold, deep, and full of arrogance. It said that Earth was now under their control. Humanity would surrender or be destroyed. To them, it was not a request. It was law. At first, silence filled the world. Billions listened, waiting for someone to answer. People were afraid. Nations were divided. Some leaders thought negotiation might save lives. Others whispered about resistance, but they doubted their armies could stand against ships that crossed galaxies. The aliens believed humans would kneel, as so many before had done. But what they did not know was that fear was not the only thing inside the human heart. In a small command center hidden under the mountains, generals and scientists stared at the hacked broadcasts. They saw not gods, but invaders. Humanity had always fought for survival, from caves to empires, from wars on land to battles in the sky. This time was no different. Humanity had no choice but to fight. Quietly, messages went out across the globe. Soldiers were called to bases. Pilots were prepared. Engineers armed satellites still left untouched. But most of all, every common man and woman was told the same words: Earth belongs to us. Above the planet, the alien fleet grew confident. They had crushed other species with less force. Their leaders laughed at the thought of resistance. They saw humans as fragile creatures, divided by borders and politics. They thought a single strike would break them. To show power, they targeted a city. A single beam from orbit cut through the night sky and turned a tower into molten glass. Thousands screamed as fire consumed the skyline. The aliens sent another message. They said this was only a warning. The next time, they would burn 1 million lives. They demanded surrender by dawn. But that night, something began to change. Fear turned into anger. In the streets, people gathered not to beg for peace but to raise their voices. They shouted to the sky, not as divided nations but as one species. News cameras captured faces of farmers, workers, soldiers, and children all saying the same word: no. No to surrender, no to slavery, no to invaders. It was the first time in history that all of humanity spoke with one voice. That voice carried to every corner of Earth, and it carried upward too. The invaders expected panic. Instead, they saw defiance. In their arrogance, they had studied Earth's weapons but not Earth's spirit. When dawn came, no leader of Earth signed the surrender. Instead, a message was sent back into the void. A single human general stood before a camera, scars across his face from battles long past. His voice was steady, his words simple. He said, "This world is not yours. It never will be. Earth is off limits." Those words were sent on every channel, on every frequency. They echoed through the alien ships above, and for the first time, the invaders paused. Anger filled their commanders. How could a young race dare speak so boldly? They ordered their forces to prepare for full conquest. But already, hidden bases were powering weapons the aliens did not know about. Already, human submarines moved quietly under oceans, waiting for orders. Already, resistance was spreading faster than fire in dry grass. Humanity was not a herd of prey. Humanity was a pack of hunters. As the first alien troops prepared to land, something unexpected happened. A single fighter jet, old by alien standards, launched into the sky. It was not stealthy, not advanced, not powerful compared to their machines. But it cut through the air with fire and thunder, and the pilot screamed into his radio for all the world to hear. For Earth. He fired everything he had at the alien craft above. Missiles exploded in the dark. Alarms rang through the enemy fleet. That lone pilot did not survive, but his act lit a spark in every heart watching. The war for Earth had begun. The invaders thought Earth would be easy. They thought humans would kneel. But the truth was clear in that first act of defiance. Humanity had only one answer to those who claimed their home. The answer was fight. And the galaxy was about to learn a lesson it would never forget. The first battle was short, brutal, and unforgettable. The alien fleet sent dropships down into the skies of Earth. Their machines cracked through clouds like spears of fire. The first landing zone was a ruined city near the coast. Smoke still rose from the towers they had destroyed. To the aliens, it was the perfect place to begin their conquest. They thought humans would hide underground. Instead, the humans were waiting. From tunnels and broken buildings, soldiers rose with rifles and rocket launchers. Drones buzzed in the air, carrying explosives. For a moment, the aliens stood tall in their shining armor, weapons glowing with strange energy. They were stronger, faster, and armed with technology far beyond Earth. But then, the first rocket screamed into their ranks. The blast tore through steel and flame, and the battle for the ruined city began. The aliens fought without mercy. Their weapons cut through concrete walls as if they were paper. Their soldiers marched forward with mechanical precision. Yet humanity did not scatter. Every street became a trap. Every shadow hid a fighter. Snipers waited in high windows, and mines exploded under alien machines. The aliens had expected fear, but what they found was fury. The city turned into a maze of fire where every corner was dangerous. In the command ships above, alien leaders watched in confusion. This was not how other worlds had fallen. Normally, after the first strike, fear crushed resistance. But these humans refused to kneel. For every soldier who fell, 2 more appeared. Civilians carried ammo to fighters. Old men and women shouted directions through radios. Even children guided drones from hidden basements. Earth was not giving up. Earth was rising. In the mountains, the human generals smiled grimly. They knew they could not match the aliens ship for ship or weapon for weapon. But humans had fought impossible wars before. Their history was written in blood and defiance. Humanity was not the strongest species, but they were the one that never stopped fighting. The generals ordered strikes not only in the ruined city but across the world. From deserts to forests, humans set ambushes for every alien landing. The aliens brought machines the size of houses, walking tanks powered by plasma reactors. They believed those weapons would crush human resistance in seconds. Instead, humans adapted. Engineers reprogrammed construction robots into war machines. Mechanics strapped bombs to delivery drones. Farmers turned tractors into armored beasts. Nothing was wasted. Every tool became a weapon. Every street became a battlefield. The aliens had technology, but humanity had creativity. In one battle, a group of alien soldiers marched across a bridge, their energy shields glowing. Suddenly, the bridge collapsed beneath them. Humans had planted explosives at the supports and lured the enemy into the trap. The river swallowed the invaders while human fighters cheered from the banks. In another battle, an alien walker stepped into a narrow canyon, only to be buried by a landslide triggered by hidden charges. The humans used the planet itself as their weapon. But the cost was heavy. Thousands died in the first week. Cities burned. Families were torn apart. Entire regions became war zones. Yet, instead of breaking, humanity grew harder. Every loss sharpened their will. The invaders thought death would silence humans. Instead, death became fuel for their rage. For every fallen soldier, 10 more swore revenge. As the battle spread, the alien commanders grew restless. They had expected victory in days, but now weeks passed. Their supplies ran thin. Their soldiers began to whisper that humans were different. They were small, fragile, but relentless. No matter how many fell, more rose to fight. The aliens had seen defiance before, but never like this. They began to realize they were not facing prey. They were facing predators who fought with the fury of survival. In space, the alien fleet still dominated the skies. Their ships could burn entire cities in minutes. Yet they hesitated. They needed Earth intact for conquest, its resources untouched. To destroy the planet would be to lose the prize. That hesitation gave humanity time. Time to strike back. Hidden deep in the ocean, a human submarine surfaced quietly. Inside, its crew prepared a weapon never used before. It was a missile designed to reach orbit, a desperate experiment built in secret. The captain gave the order, and the missile roared into the sky. The aliens laughed at first. Their shields could stop anything primitive humans launched. But this missile was different. It carried not just explosives but stolen alien tech, ripped from fallen enemies and rebuilt by human engineers. When it struck, the shield of one alien warship shattered like glass. The explosion lit the sky, and for the first time, an alien vessel fell burning toward the ocean. The news spread like wildfire. Humanity had brought down one of the invincible ships. People cheered in streets and cried with joy. Across the world, fighters lifted their weapons higher. If one ship could fall, more could follow. The aliens had thought Earth was theirs. But now they felt the truth pressing down on them. Humanity was not just resisting. Humanity was winning small victories, and small victories could grow into war they could not control. As smoke from the fallen ship spread across the sea, one human soldier looked at the sky and whispered words that echoed in every heart, "This is our home. And we will never give it away." The war for Earth was only beginning. But already, the galaxy's conquerors were learning a terrible truth. Humanity was not just defending their planet. Humanity was teaching them fear. The ocean still boiled where the alien warship had fallen. Its wreckage sank into the deep like a wounded beast. Across Earth, the news became a fire that spread faster than any weapon. Humanity had destroyed one of the enemy's mighty ships. It was not victory, not yet, but it was proof. Proof that the invaders were not gods. They could bleed. They could fall. In hidden bunkers, scientists worked without rest. They tore apart scraps of alien metal, wires, and weapons taken from fallen soldiers. Each piece was a secret waiting to be unlocked. Engineers studied strange alloys, trying to copy their strength. Hackers attacked alien code, searching for weaknesses. What the invaders had built over centuries, humans tried to understand in days. Failure came often, but every small success gave humanity a new edge. At the same time, the alien leaders argued inside their ships. Some wanted to burn Earth from orbit, to turn it into ashes and end the resistance once and for all. Others demanded patience. The planet's resources were too valuable. They could not destroy what they came to take. Their empire had rules, and they believed those rules made them strong. But rules were chains, and humanity was already using those chains against them. On the ground, the war grew darker. Cities became graveyards of steel and smoke. Alien patrols marched through ruined streets, searching for survivors. But every patrol was hunted. At night, shadows moved through alleys. Traps hidden in rubble exploded under heavy boots. Sometimes the aliens caught humans and executed them, hoping fear would spread. But each death only carved more rage into the hearts of the living. Humans did not surrender. They transformed grief into fire. In the forests of South America, a small resistance cell prepared an ambush. They had nothing more than old rifles, stolen explosives, and a few drones held together with tape. Their leader was a farmer who had lost his family in the first attack. His face carried no smile, only a burning will. When the alien walkers came stomping through the jungle, the humans struck. Explosives set the ground ablaze. Trees collapsed around the machines. Bullets rattled off armor, and drones carried fire into weak points. The battle was uneven, but the humans refused to run. They fought until the last man fell. By morning, 2 alien walkers stood silent, broken under the jungle canopy. The aliens called it madness. They could not understand a species willing to die for the smallest victory. In their empire, survival came before honor. But humanity did not think that way. For humans, freedom was worth every drop of blood. Far above Earth, in the cold halls of the alien flagship, a commander studied reports with growing anger. His soldiers were dying in numbers unseen since the Empire's earliest wars. His supplies were draining. And worst of all, his soldiers were beginning to fear. Whispers spread through the lower ranks. Some called humans cursed. Others called them demons. They said humanity's eyes held something they had never seen before. Not just resistance. Not just rage. But something deeper. The unbreakable will to fight until the last breath. In secret, the human generals planned something bold. They knew small ambushes could not win the war. They needed a strike so loud that the invaders would never forget it. Intelligence from captured alien tech revealed a supply hub hidden in orbit, a station where the enemy stored weapons and fuel. If that hub fell, the entire fleet would suffer. But reaching it meant breaking through defenses no human ship had ever faced. The plan was dangerous, perhaps impossible. But humanity had already decided. The generals called for volunteers. They expected a handful. Instead, they received thousands. Pilots, soldiers, engineers, even civilians begged for a chance to strike back. Every man and woman who volunteered knew they might never return. Yet not one turned away. In the dark of night, humanity launched its first true counterattack into space. Old rockets carried new weapons. Fighter jets, refitted with alien scraps, screamed upward from hidden bases. As the blackness of space opened before them, human pilots saw the enemy's shining station for the first time. It floated like a fortress, guarded by warships. The aliens were confident. They believed no primitive fleet could touch them. But confidence is the seed of downfall. The first wave of human ships was torn apart by alien fire. Explosions lit the void. Yet more ships followed, wave after wave. They flew not with perfect formation, but with reckless courage. Some pilots rammed their fighters into enemy shields, breaking holes for others to strike. Missiles built from stolen alien fuel tore into defenses. Slowly, painfully, the fortress began to shake. On the ground, billions watched through hacked broadcasts. They saw their own kind rise into the stars for the first time in war, fighting against impossible odds. Every explosion made hearts ache, but every strike that landed filled them with pride. Then it happened. A single human bomber, its wings torn and burning, broke through the enemy defenses. The pilot, already bleeding from wounds, gave his final words across the radio. For Earth. For all of us. He drove his craft straight into the supply hub. The explosion was so bright it lit the night sky on Earth below. Alien warships were thrown aside. The fortress shattered into pieces. Cheers erupted across the world. Humanity had not only defended their home. They had carried the fight into space. The aliens reeled from the loss. Their supplies burned, their pride broken. For the first time, they realized this war would not be simple. And far away, in the quiet corners of the galaxy, other species were watching. Some had suffered under the alien empire for generations. Now they saw something new. A small world, young and fragile, standing against the conquerors. Whispers spread in the dark. Perhaps humanity was not fighting alone after all. The war for Earth had become more than survival. It had become a spark. And that spark was spreading. The shattered remains of the alien supply hub drifted across the void like broken glass. Flames still burned in the silence of space, and twisted metal spun toward Earth's atmosphere. For the first time in their long history, the Empire had lost a stronghold to a species they considered weak. On the ground, humanity cheered, but the leaders knew the war was far from over. A single victory would not break an empire that had crushed dozens of worlds. In the alien flagship, silence filled the command chamber. The High Commander stared at the reports with cold fury. His soldiers avoided his gaze. Their empire had ruled unchallenged for centuries, and now a young race had struck a wound that would be remembered across galaxies. The commander ordered vengeance. If humans wanted war, he would give them war. Soon, the skies of Earth darkened once again. More ships poured into orbit, fresh reinforcements from distant systems. They came in numbers far greater than before. The Empire no longer underestimated humanity. They wanted to crush the spirit of resistance once and for all. Entire regions were bombarded from orbit. Cities became seas of fire. Forests turned to ash. Rivers boiled under the heat of plasma storms. But even as Earth bled, humanity did not break. The fires became fuel for their rage. Underground shelters became cities of resistance. Factories hidden in mountains produced weapons day and night. Scientists continued to steal knowledge from alien wreckage. They discovered new ways to disrupt enemy shields, new codes to jam alien communications. Every day, humans grew stronger while the Empire grew more desperate. In one hidden base beneath the deserts, a small group of engineers unlocked something extraordinary. They had studied the remains of an alien reactor, and with human creativity, they built a weapon unlike any before. It was not a missile, not a gun, but a pulse that could fry alien machines for miles. They tested it on a captured walker. The great machine froze, its lights dying as if its soul had been torn away. For the first time, humanity held a weapon that could level the balance of power. Meanwhile, whispers spread across the galaxy. Other species, long enslaved under the Empire, watched Earth with growing hope. Secret channels carried the story of resistance, of humans who had defied the conquerors. Small rebellions began to flicker on distant worlds. The Empire noticed, and it terrified them. Humanity's defiance was not just a local war. It was becoming an infection in their empire, a dangerous idea that freedom was possible. The High Commander decided to end it. He ordered the fleet to prepare for one final strike, a blow so devastating it would erase human defiance forever. Their target was not a city or a fortress. It was the very heart of Earth's command, the hidden mountain base where the generals and scientists worked. If that base fell, the resistance would lose its brain and its fire. But the humans knew. Their spies had intercepted fragments of alien communication. The generals understood the risk. They did not run. Instead, they prepared a trap. Every weapon, every fighter, every stolen piece of alien tech was brought to the mountain. It would be the greatest battle humanity had ever fought. When the alien fleet descended, the skies thundered with fire. Their ships blotted out the sun. Dropships poured from orbit, filling the valleys with soldiers and machines. Plasma cannons lit the mountainsides. But humanity was ready. Hidden batteries of missiles rose from the earth. Fighters streaked through the sky, some old, some newly built with alien scraps. The pulse weapon unleashed its power, frying alien machines midair and sending them crashing into the ground. The battle shook the mountains. Explosions turned stone into dust. The air burned with smoke and fire. Human soldiers fought shoulder to shoulder, knowing most would not survive. But they refused to step back. Every man, every woman, every fighter stood with the same cry on their lips, "This is our home." The High Commander himself watched from orbit. His rage grew as reports poured in. His army was being slowed, broken, defeated. He ordered more fire, more destruction, but it was not enough. Humanity fought with a madness his empire had never faced. It was not logic. It was not strategy. It was survival mixed with defiance, a force he could not understand. As the battle raged, a group of human pilots launched a daring strike toward the commander's own flagship. It was suicide, yet they did not hesitate. Their goal was not only victory but to show the galaxy that humanity would reach even the highest throne of their enemy. The flagship's defenses tore through many, but one bomber slipped through. It carried the new pulse weapon, modified for a single massive blast. The bomber was destroyed, but not before the weapon fired. A wave of energy struck the flagship, tearing through its systems. Lights flickered, engines screamed, shields collapsed. For the first time, the High Commander's own ship shook under the fury of humanity. On the ground, as alien soldiers faltered, humans roared louder. They had stood against the Empire's mightiest force and they had not fallen. The mountain still stood. Humanity still breathed. That night, under the smoke-filled sky, the generals looked at each other with weary eyes. They knew the war was far from over. The Empire would return. But now, something had changed forever. The aliens had thought Earth was theirs. Now they knew the truth. Earth was off limits. And in the quiet of the galaxy, more voices whispered in the dark. The age of fear was ending. The age of resistance had begun. The Battle of the Mountain became legend. Across Earth, people told stories of how humans had faced the Empire's strongest strike and survived. Songs were written. Flags were raised. But it was not just Earth that listened. Far beyond the stars, in hidden corners of the galaxy, enslaved species whispered the name of humanity. For the first time in centuries, they believed the Empire could bleed. In distant mines where slaves dug for resources, workers paused and spoke softly of the humans who had destroyed a supply hub. In dark prisons, Rebels dreamed of breaking chains because they had heard humanity's defiance. On worlds covered in ash, old fighters sharpened their blades again. The fire of rebellion spread like a silent storm, unseen but unstoppable. The Empire's rulers noticed. Fear began to crawl into their hearts. They had ruled by terror, but terror was fading. Humanity's defiance was turning into something far more dangerous: inspiration. If one small planet could stand, then others might rise too. The rulers demanded that Earth be crushed at any cost. They poured fleets into the system, enough to destroy a dozen worlds. But every move they made revealed more of their weakness. Their empire was too large, stretched too thin. For every fleet sent to Earth, another colony grew restless. For every soldier lost in the mountains of Earth, another world whispered of rebellion. Humanity had become a thorn buried deep in the Empire's flesh, and pulling it out only made the wound worse. On Earth, the war did not slow. The skies were never clear. Alien ships rumbled above, while humans fought below with fury. The new pulse weapons spread across resistance cells, shutting down enemy machines in city after city. Each battle was costly, but each battle proved humanity was evolving. They were no longer just defending. They were learning how to fight an empire. In one hidden lab, human scientists achieved something incredible. They cracked the code of alien shields. For years, those shields had made the invaders untouchable. Now, humanity could pierce them. The first test was against a patrol ship above Africa. A small missile fired from a truck below struck its shield. Instead of bouncing off, it burned through. The ship exploded in a ball of fire. The world cheered. Meanwhile, the High Commander of the alien fleet grew desperate. His soldiers were losing faith. He saw fear in their eyes, and fear was poison. To prove his strength, he decided to descend to Earth himself. He wanted to crush the humans with his own hands, to show the galaxy that resistance was hopeless. His flagship landed in the ruins of a city, and from it stepped a towering figure in armor of black and gold. Human soldiers watched from the shadows. They had faced alien commanders before, but this one was different. His presence was like a storm. His voice shook the ruins as he declared humanity's defiance finished. He promised to burn Earth to ashes. But humanity was ready for him. A trap had been prepared, not with guns or bombs, but with courage and cunning. The resistance allowed the commander to march into the city, his army following him. Then, at the perfect moment, humans struck. Buildings collapsed with hidden charges. Pulse weapons fried machines in the streets. Snipers targeted the alien elites. The commander roared with rage, his armor glowing as he fought like a beast. Dozens of humans fell before him. But they did not retreat. They swarmed him, their courage greater than his strength. In the chaos, one human soldier, a young woman who had lost her family in the first bombardment, faced the commander alone. She carried a single experimental weapon, a lance of energy built from stolen alien tech. The commander laughed at her, towering above. But she did not flinch. She charged forward, driving the lance into his chest. His armor cracked, his roar filled the sky, and the mighty commander fell to the ground. The Empire had lost more than a battle. They had lost their symbol of fear. Across the galaxy, news spread like lightning. The High Commander of the fleet was dead, slain not by another empire but by a human. For the first time, cracks split the Empire's rule. Rebellions rose openly. On 3 distant worlds, slaves overthrew their masters. On another, an entire garrison vanished, joining rebels instead of fighting them. The Empire tried to hide the truth, but the truth was fire. And fire cannot be hidden. On Earth, the generals gathered. They knew the war was changing. Humanity was no longer fighting only for survival. They were becoming something greater, a spark for the galaxy. But sparks can burn both ways. If they failed, the Empire would erase them. If they succeeded, the galaxy would never be the same again. That night, as the stars shone above, a human general spoke quietly to his people. His words carried across radios, across screens, across the broken world. They thought Earth was theirs. But we have shown them the truth. This planet is off limits. And now, we fight not only for Earth, but for every world still in chains. The crowd roared. Fighters raised their weapons. Civilians lifted their fists. Humanity was no longer alone in the dark. The galaxy was listening. And the Empire, for the first time in centuries, began to tremble. The galaxy was no longer silent. Across the stars, the spark of rebellion burned bright. On one world, chains were broken and slaves raised banners of freedom. On another, soldiers of the Empire laid down their weapons, refusing to fight. Everywhere, whispers carried the same word, humanity. The small blue planet that was supposed to kneel had instead stood tall, and now others were rising beside it. On Earth, the war had not ended. Cities still lay in ruins, skies still shook with the thunder of alien engines, and humanity still buried its dead each day. But the spirit of surrender was gone. Humanity no longer fought with desperation. They fought with purpose. They knew they were not only defending their home. They were leading a galaxy toward something greater. The Empire, however, was not ready to die. Its rulers gathered fleets from every corner of their territory. They forged the largest armada in their history, a sea of ships so vast it covered the stars. They swore that Earth would be turned into a graveyard, an example to every world that dared to dream of freedom. The humans knew this battle would decide everything. If Earth fell, rebellion would die. If Earth stood, the Empire would break. The generals called it Operation Dawn. Every soldier, every pilot, every resistance fighter was summoned. Hidden bases emptied. Factories gave their last weapons. Even civilians joined, carrying supplies, building defenses, ready to fight if needed. Humanity had become one army, one family, one unbreakable wall. When the Empire's fleet arrived, the night sky turned to fire. Thousands of ships descended. Their weapons lit the heavens with storms of plasma. Earth's defenders rose to meet them. Old fighters, new crafts built from alien wreckage, even cargo ships turned into bombers, all launched into the void. The battle above Earth became a storm of light and death. In orbit, human pilots screamed their defiance. They flew into impossible odds, weaving between enemy fire, striking with precision. Alien ships burned one by one. The pulse weapons struck harder than ever before, frying whole squadrons of machines. Yet for every enemy destroyed, more appeared. The sky itself seemed endless with war. On the ground, the Empire sent waves of soldiers and machines. The earth shook as walkers crushed ruins beneath their feet. But the humans had learned. They lured machines into narrow streets, into forests, into rivers where they drowned and burned. Traps exploded everywhere. Civilians fought beside soldiers, using whatever they could hold, guns, blades, even fire. Humanity gave no ground. At the center of the chaos, the Empire's supreme flagship descended. Larger than mountains, its shadow swallowed cities. On its bridge stood the supreme overlord, the ruler of the Empire, wrapped in armor older than Earth's civilizations. He had come to end the war himself. His voice thundered across every channel, declaring humanity finished. He promised to burn Earth's oceans, its forests, its very soil until nothing remained. But humanity answered with a single message, spoken by a young girl broadcasting from a ruined shelter. Her voice was small but steady. "This is our home. You cannot take it. Not from us, not ever." That voice spread across Earth and, through stolen frequencies, across the galaxy. Billions heard it. And in that moment, humanity was no longer just one species. Humanity had become a symbol. The final strike came from deep within the oceans. Hidden submarines, long silent, rose together. They carried Earth's last secret weapon, a massive pulse, built with the blood and genius of countless scientists. It was designed not to destroy a single ship but to cripple an entire fleet. The submarines launched as one. Above the planet, as the Supreme Overlord prepared to give the order for annihilation, the ocean lit with fire. The great pulse surged upward, a storm of energy that tore through space. Shields shattered. Engines died. Thousands of alien ships went dark at once. The Supreme Flagship itself trembled, its mighty systems collapsing. Panic filled the Empire's greatest army. Human fighters swarmed, striking disabled ships. Resistance forces across the galaxy saw the signal and rose in open war. Worlds once silent now screamed with rebellion. The Empire, once eternal, was breaking apart. On the Supreme Flagship, chaos ruled. The Overlord raged, but his power was fading. In the confusion, A small group of human fighters boarded the flagship. They were not the strongest or the most trained, but they carried the weight of every life on Earth. They fought through corridors of steel and fire, until they reached the Overlord himself. The battle was fierce. His armor was like a fortress, his strength beyond human measure. But humanity had never relied on strength alone. They fought with courage, with fury, with sacrifice. At last, one soldier, mortally wounded, planted the final explosive at the core of the ship. He smiled through blood and whispered, "For Earth." The explosion ripped through the flagship. The sky lit brighter than dawn as the Empire's supreme vessel burned and fell. Across the galaxy, the signal was clear. The conquerors had been defeated. The age of their empire was over. Silence followed. Then, slowly, across Earth and the stars, came the sound of cheers, of cries, of voices shouting as one. Humanity had not only saved their home. They had broken the chains of countless worlds. The galaxy would never be the same. Earth, once small and forgotten, had become the center of a new age. Not an age of empires, but an age of freedom. And in every corner of space, the same words were spoken with pride and hope. They thought Earth was theirs. But humanity made it clear, off limits.